and then just trying to brainstorm what's next. Yeah, what's gonna happen in 2025?
Yeah, I mean, do you have any events or plans already set up regarding your work in the new year?
Nothing so far.
No, I get that. But that's honestly the life of the creative realm, isn't it? Sometimes things just fall into place right when you need them to.
Yeah, yeah. I think everything kind of just happens last minute and you never really know what to expect.
Well, I'm excited to talk a little bit more about this industry. So, art, tattooing, what it means to be queer in a society today in a creative, sort of sense. Give us a little bit of a background. I've pulled up one of your murals. Let me just share it for everybody to check it out because it's absolutely stunning.
I'm like, oh no, which one? Oh, okay.
I think this one's a winner. Okay, so, tell us a little bit about what it's like in the art scene right now. When you started out, give us a bit of a spiel.
Well, I feel like the current industry right now, it's hard. It's really tough. And just with the economy and the fact that like not a lot of people have a disposable income right
Hmm.
now, things are just getting more and more expensive. It's definitely a struggle to be a freelance creative in
Hmm.
any industry.
Hmm.
Um, I think this is year 4 of me being a full-time artist on like paper. But I mean, growing up, like art was the only thing I was ever super passionate about. And I knew at a very young age that this was going to be my career, but I just wasn't necessarily sure how that would happen. Um, I think fundamentally because I struggled so much in school and learning in a institutional environment. So I don't know, like I really wasn't sure on like how I was gonna pursue that or make that happen. And I think a lot of things happened along the way that kind of pushed back me following art full time as a career. And it just like the pandemic really helped, I guess, influence my decision to stop working for bigger corporations and to just say screw it and work for myself. I was accepted into McMaster University's fine arts program like right after I graduated from high school.
Hmm.
And I thought at the time, like, it was always instilled in my head by my parents, like, you need to go get a university degree,
Hmm.
become a doctor, become a lawyer, become a nurse, like something that's like guaranteed income. And I was like, okay, like I got into this amazing fine arts program. It took me 4 portfolio interviews to get in, and then I got in, and there was maybe 20 of us in my first year, and it was eye-opening, I guess. And the
Hmm.
more I was like put in that environment and like watched my peers and the older students that were graduating from my program, the more I kind of sat back and I was like, I don't want to become that kind of an artist, and I don't want to work in a gallery, and I don't want to have to continue on and have to get my master's just to obtain any kind of like art job. I'm like,
Hmm.
no, that's not it. And I mean, I've always been a rebel to a degree or have done like provoking things just to start a
Hmm.
conversation. And one of my professors in my program, this British man, incredible artist, Graham Todd, he definitely took me under his wing to a degree and would visit me in the studio after hours and give me like hundreds of dollars worth of supplies and be like, Christina, I have faith in you. You're going to do something with this. And it was just really special because no matter how provoking of a piece I would make or do something for a laugh, he was always so encouraging. But during my second semester, he was diagnosed with, I think, 3 or 4 types of fatal cancer.
Hmm.
And it was really sad. And he passed away. And I kind of felt at that moment like, the reason why I was in that program, I don't have a reason anymore. And like my
Yeah.
mentor, my person, he's not there. And I don't think this is for me.
Yeah.
And then it was just like, I have never had any help financially. So 1 year of university put me in $20,000 worth of student debt.
Yeah.
And I was working full time the entire time just
Mm-hmm.
to like, I don't know, stay afloat.
Yeah.
And it was just like, I was like, nah, you know what? I'm dropping out. And then I ended
Mm-hmm.
up getting my first bartending job in like our, I don't know, nightclub district in
Yeah.
Hamilton, underage, might I add.
Yeah.
And then like just realized like, oh my God, you can make so much money bartending and like working in hospitality. So then I ended up doing that for, I don't know, the next few years and like saved up enough money to pay off my student debt and then decided to not do that and take off and dump my partner and quit my job and go on a backpacking trip to Europe. And then I don't know, it was definitely life changing because it was the scariest thing I've ever done as like a 20-year-old. And
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
then it was like coming back and taking care of my Baba on her deathbed and watching her slowly die in front of me for 4 months. That really
Changes a person.
it does. And
Mm-hmm.
I think as a young adult, that was my first real experience with death, but the death of a loved one. And that kind of sent me into like a downward spiral where I didn't really know how to deal with my grief. So I ended
Mm-hmm.
up coping by numbing myself using substances. And it got to the point where I was like, if I stay in Hamilton, I'm gonna die. Like I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to become the demise of my grief.
Yeah.
That's when I left and I took off and went to Haida Gwaii and worked at a fishing lodge. And then that basically like pushed me into moving into the West Coast and Vancouver. And after working in hospitality and tourism, Rocky Mountaineer was my last job, right before the pandemic hit. The moment the pandemic hit, it was like I had been painting murals for maybe 2 years at that point. And all of a sudden, it's like the pandemic. You don't know the state of the world, what's
Yeah.
happening. And I'm like, I gotta do art. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
time, Like I need to figure this out. Like why am I procrastinating so much? And
Mm-hmm.
even like right before I dropped out of university, like I had my first tattooing apprenticeship because it's something that like as a kid I always wanted to learn how to tattoo
Yeah.
because wow, how much more meaningful of a career can you have than people wanting your art permanently on them? Like that is so
Yeah.
special. But unfortunately, my tattooing apprenticeship, like many other females in the industry, it was horrible and I was mistreated. And it got to the point of like 3 months in where I just lost it. And I'm like, I can't do this anymore. I can't do
Mm-hmm.
this. If this is what it takes to learn how to tattoo, I'm out. See you
Yeah.
later.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was like the pandemic hit, and I had been entertaining tattooing again because I met my now mentor and coworker friend, Chris. And Chris, he mentored me from afar and he really pushed me. And he was like, Christina, I'm self-taught, be a self-taught artist. And I'm like, there's such a stigma around that,
Yeah.
especially like growing up in Hamilton. If you were a scratcher, if you learned on your own, you didn't learn
Yeah.
under the wing of any male
So and
tattooer.
so. Yeah.
Yeah, it
Mm-hmm.
was like it wasn't a good look and you will not have a career. But I was like, Vancouver is different. It's more progressive city. Like there's so many more niche artists here. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
okay,
Mm-hmm.
sure, I'll learn. And then I don't know, everything kind of just fell into place and I didn't end up pursuing tourism or hospitality once the pandemic kind of cleared up. And Chris and Elise were like, we're opening up this shop and we really would love for you to join. And I was like, you're kidding me. I'm not good enough. Like, there's no way I can't do this. No.
Yeah.
But I've been there since. And yeah, everything else kind of just fell into place. And I'm so happy that I took that leap of faith and just said,
Yeah.
screw it. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, really grateful for where I am right now.
Yeah, and you mentioned so many different topics I can't wait to individually dive into. But just off the top of my head, you have to break these sorts of molds to be able to do something that's against the grain. So when you mentioned about how galleries and that sort of thing are pushed onto artists to fit a specific look, to work with the specific people, you have to go about it in a certain way. It is so, mind boggling that something as open and vast as creativity and the art of turning nothing into something has such strict restraints on it.
Yeah, definitely. And I think I don't know. I think people try and put you in a box.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that I resented the most about university and my professors, everyone wanted you to make art in a sense that mimicked
Mm-hmm.
things that they were passionate about
Mm-hmm.
or subject matter that they used in their work. And I was like, no, like I'm fine,
Mm-hmm.
thanks. I don't want to do any of that.
Yeah. And I don't have, so I mentioned before that I've danced all my life and I love, you know, so many different art forms. I've never been great at, necessarily painting and drawing or anything like that. Like I can get by, but I'm no Picasso or anything like that. But I've of course taken some arts classes in high school and whatnot, and even arts teachers then they would want to erase your work, redraw over your work to match the certain way that they want. So is nothing is truly objective, right? Especially when it comes to art. So if you have to find what group you're looking to get into, you have to find your niche. And I think that you've done that based off of what I know about you and your work. So let's turn to the tattoo side of things a little bit and talk about the uniqueness of the environment that you create in your space.
In what regards?
So let me just go to my. Okay, so you have mentioned that you've made an effort to create a safe and inclusive space with your clients. What does that mean? Why is it important?
Um, I think tattooing fundamentally is such an intimate and special connection that you have with somebody. And I've been getting tattooed since I was 18 years old, and I'm 30 now. It's been many years of getting
Mm-hmm.
tattoos, and I've just had so many experiences getting tattooed by artists where I did not feel okay. I felt so
Yeah.
uncomfortable. I felt intimidated. It's like, they slap on a stencil. That's the placement. That's what you're getting. And I'm like, no, that's not
Mm-hmm.
right. It's on your body permanently. You should never make somebody feel like they're like
Mm-hmm.
forced or pressured or that they can't voice their opinion about something to do with like this thing that is going to be with them for the rest of their
Mm-hmm.
lives. And I really try and communicate as much as I can with my clients and let them know, if you want any changes, if you don't like something, tell me, and I'm open to having those conversations. And also, it's just like, I'm a queer person. I work in a queer-friendly studio. I think for the longest time, it's been such a toxic, misogynistic
Mm-hmm.
environment that you walk into. And oftentimes, as a queer person, as any kind of minority, like you don't feel comfortable. You don't
Yeah.
feel good about walking
Mm-hmm.
into that? And I'm really grateful that I work at an incredible shop that's not the case. And I don't know, people feel like comfortable coming in and
Mm-hmm.
you can ask me anything. Like
Yeah.
I'll tell you the truth. Like, of course I'm gonna explain like when things, I don't know, logistically like won't work
Mm-hmm.
out in terms of a design, and I'm pretty firm about not wanting to put something on anyone's body that I know is not going to age well and hold up
Mm-hmm.
over time. So Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. I feel proud of my tattoo practice and the peers that I work with and the quality of work that I put out there.
Hmm. I um I think it's great that you brought up um the amount of misogyny that is, found, especially when tattooing, when you were first getting into tattooing. I know you mentioned that, the industry has changed with the times, but just to think about it, I have had all my tattoos done by men, and um, it was just there were more male tattoo artists available, I guess. Um, and I would love to, kind of spread my wings and try out different places. But how do you go about, letting your clients know that it's okay to question, to ask their artist to redo something, to, when, a lot of people feel nervous about speaking up about those sorts of things?
I mean, I'm a very direct, blunt person, and I just try and communicate
Hmm.
and word vomit as much as possible.
Yeah.
Be like, if you don't
Just
like it,
lay it on thick. Yeah.
or just, oh, like if you hate that, like I can move it, I can change it, like no problem. But I think just ask
Hmm.
questions, and I don't know, like I've canceled tattoo appointments with artists before in the past because my gut is like it doesn't feel right, or
Yeah.
like I don't like this environment. I
Hmm.
don't know, like I would just try and be as open and
Hmm.
communicative as possible. And if it doesn't feel right, I don't know, trust your gut.
Hmm.
Or if you're like it doesn't seem clean and like
Hmm.
sterile, like I don't know. Those are things to
Don't do it.
consider when
Hmm.
getting a
Hmm.
tattoo.
Yeah, and what a philosophic point to bring up. I feel like a lot of people don't necessarily trust their own instincts and go with their guts anymore, you know? Um a lot of how we think, how we behave is, conditioned by the society that we live in to go about it that way, right? So I think that's a lesson that could be projected into so many different aspects of life. Okay, so I want to ask you, currently in your work, what is something that inspires you that you've really been loving doing lately?
Uh, I mean, I feel like I have used a lot of my grief the past couple months, and that has kind of brought me to a different direction artistically, and I started using pencil crayon
Mm-hmm.
and just strictly pencil crayon for a couple of pieces, and I realized like this is super cathartic and like
Yep.
my soul needs this, and it's just been a really interesting, I don't know, way of like healing and
Mm-hmm.
like letting out this emotion in a
Yeah.
sense.
Is it the aspect that, pencil crayons are something we use in our childhood, kind of getting back at something, from your past?
I mean, maybe, but I think I don't know. Oftentimes, like I feel like I spend so much time on my iPad designing tattoos, graphic design, like whatever it is, that I neglect just picking up a piece of paper and a pencil.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just been very cathartic sitting
Mm-hmm.
on my couch scratching. And
Yep.
I don't know, I'm gonna keep going with it.
Yep. Going back to the fundamentals for sure. Okay, so we didn't talk much about your heritage in your work yet. Do you have any leading points that you would like to start off with before we dive into the topic?
Uh, I'll let you start.
Okay. So, how has your heritage and background influenced your work and your artistic vision?
Um, I think it's tough. And I think that I'm finally at a place where I'm bringing my roots into my artistic practice
Mm-hmm.
because I feel like that's something that I've struggled with for many years, figuring out how I could be truer to my identity and my heritage within my creative pursuits. But it kind of dawned on me when I was in Eastern Europe like 2 summers ago. I was like, I need to figure something out.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how I'm gonna do this, but I really want to change the direction of my tattoo practice to start. And then I was just thinking about, I don't know, different memories and items from like my youth, my childhood, things that like my grandmother owned, my baba, she had in her kitchen, like these special little objects, and then the imagery and I guess like the folk art that embellished these things. And then I was kind of like, that would be interesting to explore in terms of, I guess, tattoo ideas and like motifs. And I don't know, it was like a way of me exploring that and that part of like my culture, my heritage, but on my own terms. And I in doing so, it's been really special and meaningful because I have been able to connect with other Ukrainians, other Polish people, other Russians, and have conversations and just have a dialogue about, I guess, a shared similar childhood, youth, uh, different traditions, things that are near and dear to my heart. Same thing with another person.
Mm-hmm.
So that's been really special, but I guess also I've been looking for like a way to honor my grandparents and their life and their journey and their experience. And I mean, both sets of my grandparents, they escaped the Second World War and immigrated to Canada. And my dad immigrated when he was 6 years old. And it's just like my Baba, like on her deathbed, was sharing stories with me about how she managed to escape a movie theater that was shot up by German soldiers, and the only reason her and her sister got out of there is because one of the soldiers thought that they were cute, and they said,
Mm-hmm.
"You gotta leave now," But it's just like I don't know whether I'm ever gonna have to experience that and go
Yeah.
through those hardships. And I feel like if I stop talking about that
Mm-hmm.
and I stop exploring this part of me, then it'll get lost, and I don't
Yeah.
want that piece of my history and my heritage to ever get lost. I want these people that I've loved so much that have taken care of me to like live on, I guess, through my artistic practice and like journey.
Yeah, paying homage. And that's exactly what happens when we stop talking about things of the past. It gets forgotten. And then 100 years down the line, no one's going to remember A, B, C, or D. So that's what's amazing about art because a lot of the time it outlive us. Obviously, not tattoos unless you had one of those situations where, they removed the skin and then they did the pinning. I've seen that before. But, usually art can outlive people. Look at some of these, super old, super famous pieces that have seen so much more history than any of us have.
Oh, for sure.
Hmm. So while we're talking about what's important to you in your work, um, social justice. I'm wondering how this is something that is able to be incorporated through what you do, whether that's through themes of identity, queer representation, or other aspects of, how things should be and what justice means in our society. What's your take on that?
I think that as a queer person, I'm always trying to advocate for queer visibility and empowerment. Um, I mean, even exploring some of my own heritage and themes of like a sense of belonging.
Hmm.
I try and bring that into my artistic practice, and just challenge the societal norms
Hmm.
that I guess like I grew up with.
Yep.
And I don't know, just further advocate for dialogue about these
Hmm.
things that matter the most to me. And
Hmm.
I like be an example for the younger generation that, like you have a place in this world
Hmm.
and you should never stop fighting for your voice
Hmm.
to be heard.
Yep, it's an ongoing, relentless effort. And it's a way of being. You have to act, you have to walk the walk and talk the talk in your daily life, and just hope that people are impacted by it. And you meet those that feel the same way, and, you know, have those connections, meet those people, have the conversations. And really, that's how we can fight our little fight towards these sorts of things, right?
Oh, for sure. And just, I don't know how important your own personal sense of agency is and just breaking free from these oppressive systems altogether.
Hmm. I wanted to know, who are some of these people that you may have come across that have impacted your work. So we talked about, your family, your grandma, your baba. But are there any other people that you've met along the way that have, really stuck around and were, monumental in your work?
I mean, I feel very fortunate that most of my closest friends are all incredible artists,
Hmm.
and I'm involved in a community that is definitely on a global level. And it's been really funny because a lot of the artists that I once, I don't know, like idolized are now my friends,
Hmm.
and I'm grateful for that. But I mean, like growing up, I I loved Andy Warhol. I love the colors. I love Basquiat. Like, but then I don't know. I guess as like I've grown and then diving into street art and murals, it's like you're looking more at the early graffiti culture.
Hmm.
And Lady Pink is like a legendary female graffiti artist and was doing it at a time where it was so dangerous and just said, screw it.
Hmm.
And then there's like muralists like Kashink, who's such
Hmm.
an incredible activist and is just stuck their ground and been like, this is what I'm doing. I'm unapologetically me. And these are the things that I'm fighting for. And I think that's so empowering. Um, and I mean, like, put the Pussy Riot movement,
Hmm.
like, it's, yeah, it's just like, don't stop standing up against
Yeah.
the bully and for what you believe in. I don't know. And it's, yeah, it's just like, I feel so fortunate that so many of my closest friends are such incredibly talented artists and inspire me on a daily basis. And I have them to like go to for questions and meltdowns like I had last night with issues that came
Hmm.
up. And, but I guess my entire life, the drag queens that I've been around and my outgoing, incredible gay best friends that have been there through every stage of my life. Like, I have such strong, powerful, wonderful, sweet men that have taken me under their wing since I
Hmm.
was in my early 20s to now and have never stopped doing such incredible things for the communities that they live in. And yeah, it's just, I don't know, it's just a combination, I think, of everything.
Shout out to the people that stick around even in the tough times. And um, I feel like now, in a time where we're so connected with social media and all these other aspects, it's been amazing for me, new people, and staying up to date. But ever since COVID, um, there's been a lapse in, getting together with friends as much. And, things have changed, time's changing. So, um, if you're thinking about them, they might be thinking about you too. So just reach out. They're probably nervous too. So, you know, don't stop sticking around for the people that you care about. Okay, so we're at our half-minute mark. How would you feel about playing a bit of a game with me?
Sure.
You're not gonna have to do anything. I'll have it all on my screen. Okay, and audience, I would love for you guys to play along with us. You could feel free to put your answers in the chat, and it's just a little bit of fun in between our topics. Okay. So, this game is called What Is That? And I thought it'd be a great one to play with you because of your creative mind and all these different, aspects and avenues that, come into play when you're in the, you know, role of turning nothing into something. So, here's how it's going to work. I'm going to show you 3 clues of an item or concept that has significantly revolutionized or transformed something in our time. So, what is the challenge? You're going to use these clues and identify something that has progressed us as a, species and society. Okay, so I think it's pretty self explanatory. Do you think you're ready to go, Christina?
Sure.
Okay, so round 1. Here's our first clue. Here's our second clue. And here's our third clue. What do you think these things might make all together? And feel free to add your answers in the chat too, guys. Christina can't see, so you won't be leading her any sort of way. I would put the most emphasis on these two. This one is kind of just a additional. Any guesses?
I'm stumped.
So this one got me too, but it is actually the printing press. So I
Okay.
I thought this one was so fun because they would have had to individually scribe on each stone, and that was one page. So think of how much effort went into printing a book, and now we can just get a PDF of something, right? Or digital prints. So that was definitely something that revolutionized the world, invented in 1440. Okay, round 2. We've got some blackberries, a Canadian flag, and telephone poles. This one I don't actually remember what I put in here. Oh, yeah, Leah Klein. She guessed the printing press. And she says hi. Okay, I don't even know what I put in this one. Blackberries, Canada flag, and telephone poles. Anything coming to you, Christina?
I don't know. I want to say something to do with like agriculture or farming. I don't know.
I could say that too. Oh, what guess do I want to go with? Mm, I don't even know. I'm stumped. Okay. We've got some guesses for the BlackBerry, the phone. Oh yeah, so the telephone. I remember playing on my mom's BlackBerry when it first came out, the Brick Breaker game. Do you remember that? That was like the first phone game that really blew up before the iPhones and all that stuff rolled out.
Yeah, I feel like this is not
Yeah. I know, I'm kind of blanking.
I'm like,
Okay. So we've got a sunlight sort of thing. And then we've got some onions, some really nice ones. Wow, I didn't know there were so many different colors of onions. And then we've got some glasses. Okay. I think I've got a guess for this one. I think I remember this one. Any guesses from the audience? We got glass cleaner. I don't know about that one. How about you, Christina? Anything coming to you?
honestly no. I got nothing.
Okay, so I think I already know this one. Anyone else in the chat looking to add into it? Because I'm going to reveal it in three, two, oh, one. So I remember this one because a bulb of an onion is always like the meaty
Oh,
part of the
okay,
onion,
okay.
right? So I think that one's totally a play on words. Surge guessed onion juice, bloom from
Blue
Matea.
onion?
Onion juice, yeah. I've done well. Let's thought for all of us Canadians here, the Caesar. A lot of people like their clamato to have some onion flavor to it. Okay, I think this is our final round. So we've got something cold, and then we've got some containers, and then we've got a charcuterie arrangement. Okay, I think this one's the most straightforward. Any guesses?
Ice cubes?
I wouldn't say ice
Oh,
cubes, but
refrigeration?
yeah, I think that's the one. I think that's the one. This one didn't have any mind games because, the food goes inside the container that's cold, the fridge, which was developed in the early 20th century, 1876. And the original one was using ammonia. I don't know what the process for that is these days. But thank you everybody for, playing. That was a bit of a hard one. I'm going to have to rate that a 4 out of 5 on difficulty for sure. All right. I hope everyone enjoyed that. Okay. Now to dive back in. So, everybody who's listening and watching with us live, we're going to do a Q&A session in the end. So, feel free to prepare any questions that you might have. So I'll give you time to think about that and put them in the chat while I dive on to connecting with others. So we keep coming back to, the idea that, connection is super important to keep us all going. It's an inspiration. We rely on each other. We need each other. Have there been any memorable interactions or experiences with people who have been deeply affected by your work and, kind of reiterate that you're doing what you're supposed to?
I think it happens a lot tattooing.
Mhm.
Um, oftentimes I draw something and I don't know, really think about it too much, and then I get a client that books in and it has some deep personal meaning to a shared family experience or a motif that resonates with a loved one lost. And I end up having the most emotional tattoo session and we're both crying. And it's just, I don't know, it's like such a beautiful experience. And then similarly, painting murals, especially, I don't know, abroad. I mean, like it happens both in Vancouver, but I feel like it's a bit more impactful when I travel to different communities. I went on like I organized a ladies like spraycation with now my best friend Natalie and another female muralist, Christina, and we spent like a month or a month and a half in Costa Rica, and we were painting this mural in front of Stray Cat Hostel in San Juan. And it was so cool because it was the three of us ladies jamming out.
Hmm.
And there was just so much encouragement from the community and like the honking, screaming, like, go ladies, go. Like it was wicked. But then we later found out that our mural, whether this is true or not, I'm not 100% sure, but was like the first piece of like legal street art in that community.
Okay.
And I was like, wow, like that's yeah, it's so cool. And
Hmm.
like I don't know, like when I went to Peru for my 28th birthday and like linked up with two rad street artists there, like we painted this piece and everyone that came by was just they're so stoked and happy and like you get such a high from that
Hmm.
and that these people like experience your work and it just brings
Yeah.
them so much joy and it's I don't know my colorful footprint that I've left behind and yeah it just it feels so good.
Yeah, this is like, making your own part of history. And I know you talked a bit about legacy when we first spoke. So, does work like that, impacting people's lives, lead to what you take on as your legacy?
Oh, definitely, like I don't want children. Like that
Hmm.
is something I'm so sure of. I think the tattoos, the art that I leave behind, the murals, again, my colorful footprint on the world, like that's my legacy and that's all I really care about and just I don't know, bringing my art to different people and communities and leaving that little bit of myself behind after I go.
Hmm. And what are some of these pieces that you want to be stuck in people's minds when they think about you?
I don't know. I don't know. I
Lots of good things.
I feel like because my style is constantly changing and I'm such a
Evolving.
chameleon, it's like I don't know, you know?
Hmm.
And then even like with my identity too,
Hmm.
it's I don't know. Just
It's ever changing, right? I don't know where I seen this. It was probably a meme or something on TikTok, but it was like, how could someone judge me for the person I was yesterday when I'm a completely new person today? And I think that's funny because it's, kind of symbolic that, you can't really stay in the past because, like it or not, you're going to change. Things around you are going to change. Everything is, going to hopefully progress over time. But that's not always how things work, but things are not going to be the same. Okay. We've started receiving some great questions in our chat. So let's start off with one from Helen. Let's do, what is your most favorite tattoo that you've created on a person and did it have meaning behind it?
oh, that's so hard. That's so hard. I feel like I'm like a little kid. Like I'm constantly so stoked that the next tattoo that I do. Ah, I don't I don't like I have favorite projects that I've worked on for sure. Um, you know what? Okay, maybe so I did this. design on my sister when she came to visit me in Vancouver. And it's this really stylized art deco, art nouveau lady, and she has a swan near her.
Okay.
And I love it so much. And I drew like a series of these ladies, and nobody really wanted to get them tattooed. But then when I tattooed it on my sister, it turned out so good. And I'm
Mhm.
so proud of this tattoo. And that's actually what I referenced for this pencil crayon piece that I
Mhm.
just finished last night. And I don't know, it's super cool like taking a tattoo design and now it's completely changed its like shape and meaning.
Mhm.
So I think that like that was special, and also I don't know, tattooing my sister was
Mhm.
really meaningful to me. Um another piece, this massive black ornamental stylized back piece. It's on my Ceeboots Instagram account, but I came up with this design and it wasn't supposed to be like super large scale, but then my client that booked in with me wanted it as a massive back piece, and we made some adjustments to it so that it was more true to her family and her story. And her dad didn't live in Canada, so it was like once a week they would play this game where they would talk about the rose, the thorn, and the bud.
Yeah.
And so we adjusted the design to make it more visibly rose, I guess. And
Okay.
it just I don't know, like it was just so special and so beautiful. And then sharing this experience with my client, and then after I finished tattooing it, I was like, oh my gosh, like maybe I should enter this into the Vancouver Tattoo Convention for the
Mhm.
ornamental category. And like that was my first tattoo convention this year. And then we entered it and I won. And I was like, yeah, it was crazy. I don't know, it was so crazy because it was like such a meaningful tattoo session and relationship that I've made with my client. And then
Mhm.
I don't know, putting myself out there and then being validated, I guess, for the style of tattoos that I create.
Yeah. And
So,
sometimes things just work out that way, right? One of our audience members would love to see if there were any notable posts that you have reminiscent of some of your most impactful work on your IG. So while we're doing a scroll, what are some things that poke out to you that are extra meaningful and if they have a story behind them?
I think the Pride logo that I did for the white caps, definitely.
Is this oh, yes, right here. Here we go. Oops. I'm not logged in right now, am I? Okay, I can zoom though. I've got that capability. You know, not that great actually, but it's this little one. So, why is this one so meaningful?
Um, that was I guess that was the stepping stone into doing s sports art, artistic design in, I guess, the sporting industry field. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know. And it was like it was so special to me because growing up, I played a million different sports and I needed to constantly like keep moving, and I loved being an athlete, and I loved the energy and the community within any sports organization or like team I was a part of, but it always lacked like the fact that I was a part of this community, but I felt like I was still hiding who I really was. And
Mm-hmm.
it was like the irony of that. It's like going to Catholic school, you're playing rep basketball, and then on the weekends, what are you doing? It's like sneaking out of my house to go to the only gay bar in Hamilton and meet up with like other female gay athletes from like the other high schools, But then it's like you go back to school on Monday and you can't talk about your sexuality because oh, the last person in your high school that people kind of thought was gay is being scrutinized day in and day out for just expressing who they are, you know? And like having this opportunity to collaborate with the Whitecaps, it was like, wow, like this is insane because if I was a younger athlete and I was experiencing organizations be outward supportive and say, hey, you have a place in sports, your sexuality has nothing to do with it. Like, I think that would have made a bigger impact on, I guess, the direction of what I did with
Mm-hmm.
sports and whether I like chased that going into university, you know, but it was just so hard. It was so hard to be you and not get bullied or not get harmed for it. And working with the Whitecaps and just how incredible of an organization they are and genuine everyone that works for that company, like it was like life changing, truly.
Mm-hmm. And I think it's so amazing that you bring up these, standardized norms and, sort of normalized discrimination that there is. And you mentioned how, you would go have fun and then you would have to like hide who you are back when you're in these, certain public spaces like in school or on sports teams. So I think that's amazing that we are seeing progress like this in real time in our society. So I think that that was a great piece to mention. We have another person in the chat asking, how do you stay inspired and continue to push the boundaries of your creativity?
Yeah, that's a good one. I don't know. It's like nobody's a machine.
Yeah.
You can't constantly be producing work, and it's so
Yeah.
unrealistic to think that like you're gonna keep creating day in and day out.
Hmm.
So I think it's just like important to be gentle to yourself and take breaks and eat some food, get some sleep. Don't be up till 4 o'clock in the morning every night. And I don't know, do things that make you happy because I feel like that's where I find I get inspiration from. And like me personally, like physical activity, I feel like that's where I get some of my best ideas because it's in a sense my form of meditation.
So, what kind of physical activities are we talking about? Are you a gym gal? Do you like Pilates or I don't know, the more fun things like skiing or something?
I love the gym. I
Mm-hmm.
love the community that I have at Hustle. It's group fitness and it's incredible. And it literally has gotten me out of so many slumps of depression over the last year. And I'm like super grateful for the energy, like showing up to every class and going with one of my best friends. Yeah, it's intoxicating for sure. In the summertime, I love biking
Mm-hmm.
and being out in the woods when I can get there
Mm-hmm.
and just power walking.
Mm-hmm.
I'm constantly like collecting steps.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Any way I can move my body without potentially injuring and ruining my hands, I'm all for.
Yeah, I'm always looking for new forms of activity. I recently tried to take up skiing, or actually like snowblading, snowshoeing, whatever you want to call it, snow feet. Um, and I am god awful. I'm so bad, and it's frustrating because my brothers and my mom, they've been, skiing and snowboarding for forever, and I was always left behind. Oh, Piper can't hurt herself. She's got a competition coming up, all this stuff. So, now I'm terrible and they're amazing and that sucks. But I'm looking to learn.
I think the trick with snowshoeing is you have to snowshoe and like hike up a pretty steep mountain and then use your snowshoes as a toboggan when you get to the top, even though you're not supposed to.
Yeah. You're so right. And honestly, I had to turn to that at one point because when we get to the flats,
Yeah.
I was, because also I'm not a great skater. That is something I also missed out on. My brothers were hockey players, and I, once again, wasn't allowed to be doing that sport because I was dancing. Um, and so, like, when you're on the flat, it's basically like skating, and I'm terrible at that too. So I had to just take my snow feet off, and just keep on trekking.
Yep.
Yeah, brutal, brutal. Um, okay. We've got another from Matea. Is there a project or cause that you really want to participate in?
Off off the top of my head, I can't think of anything like right off the top of my head, but I think I don't know, like any and every project that's going to better help and support our queer community in Vancouver or shed awareness or like fundraise, like I'm all for that. Yeah, like I don't I feel like I'm so unorganized right now. I haven't really put
Yeah.
any goals or like figured out what the next move is, but I don't know. Any way I can help out. That's what I love about being an artist is I'm always eager and willing to help and use my artistic expression to, I don't know, raise awareness, share a story, help
Yep.
something good.
Mm-hmm. Wow, Miss Universe answer. Love that. Is there a medium that you will never want to explore? Or is there a brand or product that you wish you could design for?
Oil paints, no thank you.
Why about it?
No,
Yeah.
no, no,
That's hilarious.
not into it. No thank you. I'm okay.
Okay.
Um, what else? Yeah, I don't know. A brand of products that I would design for?
Mm-hmm.
What type of products?
What type of products would you like to work with?
I
Well, I
think,
know you want to get into merchandising, so maybe that could play in, but
yeah, I think apparel
hmm
would be sweet. I don't know, like I love cooking. Like maybe if I could design like a new KitchenAid mixer or I don't know, like make appliances look cooler to some degree, that would be sweet.
hmm
Um,
yeah, that'd be awesome. I'm imagine if my KitchenAid had like a cool design rather than just straight blue. I would love that. I would love to put that in my house.
totally, totally. I think textiles too, like that would be super killer. And I know my mom would love to have some fabric that I designed. I don't like anything and everything, you know?
Yeah.
Put my mark on whatever it is.
Put your mark on however many things you can while you got the time. Matea thinks you should design your own troll doll. I would love to put
As
yeah.
I was on the shoulder.
What would your troll doll look like? Or if you were to do a collection, is there a theme? Let's get some ideas flowing. Maybe someone will pick it up.
It would be covered in tattoos, that's for sure.
Yeah, of course.
I think it would be customizable with different little outfits. And the gemstone and the belly button would be interchangeable. And maybe the hair could be like sensitive to heat, so it would
hmm
change color if you like grabbed it or ran
hmm
it under running water.
Yeah, that's sick. I love that idea.
And I think each troll would have its own set of custom sneakers that I designed as well.
hmm While we're on the topic of custom sneakers, Leah was wondering if you have a website where you'll be selling, these designs that we see on your IG with the boots and stuff.
Oh yeah, so those are available through the Sick Toes website under
Okay,
their artist
let
collection.
me pull that up for us right now. But tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, local Vancouver company, they ship globally. Yeah, so nothing is sold through me. It's just all through their website. And I think from the time of purchase to when it will arrive is approximately like 3 weeks, I want to say.
Okay, so here we are. Are you part of this section, maybe?
If you go under, I think there's a tab for their like artist
I
series,
gotta, I gotta
and
move our
then I have
face.
like a section.
Okay, this, I've got some zoom things in my face. Let me go to full screen just for a second so I could see better. So, okay, here we go. Here's the artist collection. Here we go. You're the top one. Okay, now let's go back. Okay, perfect. So I know we've seen a couple of these on your IG, but I wanted to mention I'm seeing a lot of fish and nature things. Like even these ones seem like they could be something inspired by something in nature. So give us a little bit of a spiel behind that. I see you already have one here, so
Yeah, um, I don't know. Growing up as a kid, like my grandfather was always fishing, and in the backyard, that's where like his garage was. And after he would go fishing, he would like save the heads of the fish and like tack them up to the outside of the garage. And it was so gross but so funny. And like he'd often catch like pike or like I forget the species of fish with like tons of razor sharp teeth. And he was
oh
just
yeah, so sharp. Oh my god, don't put your hand in there.
yeah, yeah. And he was always so
Yeah,
so
totally.
so proud of them. And then like they would always bring us back like smoked fish from Port Dover or I don't know, like wherever. So it was just like seafood was like, I don't know, a part of my youth. But
Hmm.
I think more so like my dad, when he would work night shifts at the HSR, like he would come home at like 3 o'clock in the morning. And there was a couple times where he was home and then I would wake up and like creep downstairs and then he wouldn't yell at me, but he was always like sitting there with a can of smoked oysters or
Hmm.
sardines or something. And then like there's this one time where he didn't really say anything, but he like passed some over and we ate a couple and it was just like super cute. And then like I named that pair the ultimate feast because growing up, our special dinner for birthdays, things like that, like it would always be like, oh, we're going to Red Lobster with Baba
Hmm.
and like my mom and my sister, my other grandma. And I love the ultimate
Yeah.
a big seafood household and I love fishing, but I definitely don't go as much as I'd like to. So
Yeah.
yeah.
My dad, or not my dad, oh my God. My poppy, so my mom's dad, he was from Newfoundland. And, if anyone likes fish, it's people from Newfoundland. A lot of them have their, that's their bread and butter where they, spend their free time and their time where they got to be, on the clock, right? And so we had a lot of fish all the time. The canned oysters, he would be canning random meats and then he wouldn't even know what was in it, but it would be good either way. And yeah, so thinking about that and hearing your own connection to something as, insignificant as fish reminds me of, my family and things that I miss, as people, pass on and you don't engage in things anymore. Like I don't even remember the last time I went fishing. So maybe that's a sign that both of us need to get off our butts and go back out there. Okay, so we're coming to the close of our episode. So Christina, I'm wondering if there's any last pieces of advice that you would like to leave our audience with today.
Um, don't stop chasing your dreams and going after the things that you want and take every rejection as an opportunity to learn and grow and keep
Mm-hmm.
trying because for every 5 rejections you may get, there's going to be
Mm-hmm.
one acceptance. Uh, and just be true to you, what makes you
Mm-hmm.
happy and all the weird things about you that make
Mm-hmm.
you tick and yeah, be true to that.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I want to plug an art show
Yes,
happening
plug
this
away.
weekend. My dear friends at the Miska Creative Society, they're hosting their art show that's happening all weekend long, and it's to celebrate their first year as a nonprofit organization. Um, and Miska Creative Society, they host art and mural painting workshops with an Indigenous lens, and they meet with groups where they already gather to remove barriers for participation. Their mission is to foster vibrant and healthy communities where art inspires individuals to unlock creative passion, connect with culture, find common ground, and realize their potential. And you can learn more about them at miskasociety.com. Their art show this weekend is super exciting because there's going to be uh, many events, silent auction running through the weekend, as well complimentary all ages workshops led by professional Indigenous artists, live Indigenous performances and cultural exchange, delicious hamburger soup served throughout the event.
Yum.
There's also workshops and demos, acrylic painting workshop, watercolor painting workshop, bleach art apparel workshop, spray paint demo and workshop, community mural and children's art space. And that is going to be December 7th, 8th, and December 7th and 8th from 12 p.m. to 8 p.m. at Vine's Den, which is 825 East Hastings Street, Vancouver, BC.
Hmm. Okay, so if you guys are in, the downtown, right? That's in the downtown area, like go check it out. I am from Fort McMurray. I have always grown up, being involved in so many different indigenous sorts of celebrations. My partner's indigenous as well, so I think it's really great to learn about other people's cultures and experience other people's cultures. So if you're around, I can guarantee you'll have a great time. I know I'd be going if I was in Vancouver at the moment, but I am in Alberta, so I digress. I wanted to say thank you so much. We had a really active chat today. So I'd love to thank all of you for coming and, joining in this conversation with me and Christina. But the biggest shout out goes to you, Christina. So I thank you so much for coming and, being part of the discourse today. We talked about things that are changing and how we can project them to, keep progressing in the future. So, it's important that we have these talks, and it's just really, really special to me that we were able to, connect and get real a little bit. So thank everyone for, being a part of this with us.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, and thanks to everyone that tuned in. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, a lot of your friends came to see too. So shout out to everyone that came from Christina's realm too. So we hope to catch all you guys in the next episode of Boundary Breakers. Check out the amazing Indigenous arts event that's going on this weekend. Check out Sick Toes. That's what it's called, right?
Mhm.
And then yes, I already showed Christina's Instagram. So if you're interested in staying up to date on what she's doing, head to there. And we hope to catch you guys in the next episode of Boundary Breakers. Have a good weekend, everybody. TGIF. Okay. Oh yeah, we already. Lydia, can you let us know when we're offline?
Yes, already.